Hey, shh. Calm down. The show is about to start. Reese on the radio. Turn it up. Turn it up loud. Turn it up loud.
It's like a dream come true.
Turn on your radio. Reese is on the radio.
Yo, let's get it.
Due to the nature of this program, discretion does not exist. It's Reese on the radio. Right now on WTIC News Talk 1080.
What's going on, all you scallywags and nutmeggers out there? You know it is time for Reese on the radio on WTIC News Talk 1080. And I've come across a story, which you know that I've talked about the day before yesterday, from Project Veritas, who did, they did the work. They are the ones who have provided us with the details. They did the heavy lifting. But that's not over. There has to be more heavy lifting. And that heavy lifting has to be done by us, one, in media, and two, as residents of Connecticut. We can't affect every other state. Hell, some people can't affect anything outside of their town. But there is a groundswell. There's a groundswell of resistance, as well as there is a groundswell of this sick behavior. I want to talk about a separate story before I get to the headline. I promise I will not take long with it. I'm just going to say this because it's a part of this story. So, Brandon Whitting of Connecticut Inside Investigator did a story. Here's the headline. And I know this is radio, so I really want you to remember these headlines as I give them to you. Again, Brandon Whitting, if I'm pronouncing that wrong, Brandon, my apologies. We've never spoken. DCF audit finds 94% spike in runaway child incidents. DCF audit finds 94% spike in runaway incidents. A recently released state audit of the Department of Children and Families found a number of concerns, chief among them being a 94% increase in missing children episodes from 2020 to 2023. State auditors found 606 children to have gone missing, a total of 3,736 times. 606 children have gone missing multiple times to the tune of 3,736. I want you to set that headline aside. You might be asking yourself, well, why is that important? Hold tight. Hold tight. I want you to hear the story of Elvira Syed and her daughter, Eileen. I will give away the end of this story ahead of time. I don't want to drag you on like a Dateline episode. That's not important. There are no theatrics here. On October 15th, 2024, a local student newspaper wrote this. Student, writer, news staff member found deceased. Written by Jake Tiger. Raven Syed, a sophomore actual science major, was found deceased in a resident hall on October 14th, the university announced. Syed, who used he, him pronouns, was a copy editor for the Writer News, treasurer, and a clarinet player for the Writer Prep Band, a trustee scholar, a member of the Multicultural Student Leadership Institute, and a peer leader at the All Bronx Belong Alliance. An October 15th email from the writer-president Gregory Delomo said, Syed, 18, was also an embedded tutor for finite mathematics at the Academic Success Center. His writer news staff biography reads, his other interests include music, martial arts, and foreign languages. Quote, as we process Raven's passing, let us come together with compassion, offering comfort and strength to those who are hurting. This is what Delomo wrote in an email announcing Syed's death. Now, as you can probably figure out, Raven Syed is actually Eileen Syed. As you can also tell in the article, Raven used he, him pronouns because Eileen, which is her given name, fell victim to transgender ideology. And it cost her her life. Let's begin. This is part 2 of Without Consent. Elvira Syed, Eileen's mother, talking about how all of this went south with her daughter.
I just want to say, if it was not Pastor Miller, if he did not put the wedge between me and my daughter was still alive. She would be still alive. I heard about Pastor Aaron Miller from DCF social worker. Aaron Miller filed a complaint against me after he saw my daughter only once for emotional abuse because I was refusing to affirm her gender identity due to my Muslim beliefs. Well, I'm not the problem. I'm the mother who tried to save her child by judging from the papers which I received from DCF. I believe Aaron Miller encouraged my daughter not to have any contact. It's pretty scary to have your child in elementary school, in middle school, in high school, and even in college, because groomers are everywhere. And now we know they're in church as well.
Okay, that is Elvira, speaking about her daughter Eileen and Reverend Miller at the Metropolitan Community Church of Hartford, saying that the Reverend filed a DCF report on Elvira when she refused to affirm her daughter as a male. After just one visit. Here's Elvira talking about the DCF filing that Reverend Miller filed.
Somebody introduced her to Reverend Aaron Miller, a pastor from Metropolitan Community Church in Hartford. Apparently, my daughter sent him an email, and he saw her only once. And after that meeting, he made up his mind that I'm not fit as a parent. He filed a complaint against me to Department of Children and Families. His claim, I was emotionally abusive towards my daughter for not affirming her male gender identity because of my Muslim beliefs. Well, I'm a Muslim, all right. But does Christianity have the statement that kids could be born in wrong bodies? Can this so-called pastor show me the citation in Bible about that? I thought in faith it doesn't matter, Christianity or Islam, kids are taught to love and respect their parents. They're not taught to report to the state that their parents don't believe that their bodies are wrong.
Now, if you're just getting that, this is a Muslim woman And I'm going to find out more details about Elvira. I'm under the impression that she is a single mom. Because, of course, as we've all learned, single mothers are the ones who are targeted in a lot of ways. Their children appear to be more vulnerable under these circumstances when fathers are not around. And thank you, Zach. Yes, I thought it was actuarial. Never just, I was fumbling through it, so thank you for the correction. So again, one visit, DCF is contacted by Reverend Miller that because of her Muslim faith, Eileen's mom is not affirming her pronouns, which 100% is untrue, which I'll display. But I want you to remember that headline that I gave you about the runaway kids. Just think. So what did Elvira do when her child, her only child, came to her and said, I want to affirm as a boy. I want you to call me Raven. What did she do? She explains.
Back in 2022, when she came out to us as a transgender, I started to look for what to do. And the only option which I found online was just the affirmation. That's what the internet told me, that I had to affirm, otherwise my daughter would commit suicide. So we went along with pronouns. We legally changed her name from Eileen to Raven. She cut her hair. She dyed it the way she wanted. She had male clothing. She had her room painted. And in fact, one of the walls was painted as a pride flag. But what we noticed, the more we affirmed, the more she looked for validation. And if anyone misgendered her, even accidentally, in that case, she would have a meltdown. So, and at that particular time, I discovered her TikTok account, and in one of the posts she posted that she did not want to leave. So what was the point of that affirmation? What was the point of using male pronouns if she still didn't want to leave? After I started to read more and dig more into that, I found that we made a huge mistake, so I stopped affirming her. We went back to female pronouns. Erin Miller accused me in so-called in-home conversion therapy, just because I was showing her documentaries about potential side effects of hormonal therapy. I strongly believe any parent should talk about side effects of any drug. Doesn't matter if it is testosterone, Tylenol. I call it parenting. Erin Miller calls it an abuse.
All right, it gets deeper. So the parent trying to do what she's supposed to do, to save her daughter, knowing that her daughter wants to take her life. That's your child, right? You have an outside source undermining your parenthood, your rights as a parent. Now, there's a little bit more to this that we'll get into. If you haven't watched it, I implore you, find the Project Veritas Facebook page, find their page on YouTube, whatever it is, and watch both of these series if you haven't heard of it yet. If you haven't heard this about this particular church, Metropolitan Community Church of Hartford. By the way, they've gone dark. They've gone dark. This guy, Tony Fiorello, whatever his name is, this, female turned male who's supposed to be this teen counselor who's got a farm out in the boondocks where nobody knows it is, has gone dark. Website erased. Nobody's answering their phones. Now, if this is all legitimate, why are these people hiding? They are not going to hide long. They shouldn't be allowed to. Because if everything they're doing is on the up and up, why is everybody going zero dark 30? Why? I don't know, but they are. Everything's shut down. Well, good. They started it, we'll finish it. Let's shut the whole thing down. All of it. By the way, it gets deeper. it gets deeper. And if we're right about this, there might be a possibility, or at least according to Elvira, that this goes all the way to Yale. We'll explain that in a little bit. For those of you who watched the video, please, I want to hear from you. 860-522-WTIC, 860-522-9842. Go to reeseontheradio.com if you want to join us in the chat room and talk about this. If you can't call in, we are live everywhere so that you can talk about this. Send me a note, whatever you know. This gets really, really dark, really, really fast, especially when it comes to these individuals who are using DCF to separate kids from their families because of gender ideology. The fact that this could happen to this mother, an immigrant woman who didn't throw her faith in the way, her faith was used against her to isolate her child from her. And this gender ideology put a wedge between her and her child to the point where she's dead. And now everybody's running, everybody's shutting down. It can't happen. Something has to be done. Somebody needs to be held account. And worst off, the news media needs to make sure that they start reporting on these issues because there may have been crimes committed here. We'll talk about that on the other side as well. So don't go anywhere. More news, more views on this story, and so much more. It's Reese on the radio on WTIC News Talk 1080.
Hey. Whoa. Let's not put all 100 candles on the cake. It'll ruin the frosting and probably set the place on fire. And there's expensive radio equipment in here, too.
Have they moved that expensive radio equipment yet, Roland? Start moving it to the small studio? Not yet, huh? Anyway, we're back. It's Reese on the radio. If you're just joining us, we're talking about Without Consent Part 2 from Project Veritas, who I'm in close communication with. I've been back and forth with them last night and also this morning, talking about this story about Elvira Syed and her recently deceased daughter, Eileen, who took her own life. Interestingly enough, I've checked every report, and you know that you can't find any information on how Eileen took her own life, whether or not it was with pills, other forms of suicide. I don't want to be graphic here, but you know what I mean. There's no reports at all. From what I got from Project Veritas, they are not even certain that Elvira knows. Here's why. One of the reports on Eileen's death actually says that the coroner ruled her death by natural causes. That's actually in a report, in one of the reports about her death. So I don't know. I've been asking, and I'm looking into it. So if I find out, not, again, it's about relevance, but for obvious reasons. I look up things because it's sort of, I guess the best way to put it, it gives me some insight into the story, and I always find it interesting when they omit it. As journalists, why would you not? You know, as I talked about yesterday about the what do you call it? The shoplifting of the representative. Why not give the details of what it was he shoplifted that was just under $27? It's a relevant part of the story. It gives you an insight into the story. Maybe I'm just too, I don't know, intuitive. I don't know what it is. Anyway, back to our story. So Elvira Syed, the mom here, who is talking about Reverend Aaron Miller, whom her daughter met once, which prompted the Reverend to contact DCF to say that she was being abusive because she did not affirm her child, which she did. She'd done everything because all she wanted to do was save her daughter's life. Why? Because this mother, who didn't know any better, went to the internet. What do you do when your child comes out as transgender and everything on the internet said, affirm her? That's it. Affirm her. So she did. but found that doing that only took her daughter further over the top. Started getting to the point where it was suicide. After this, it was like, wait a minute, all the research said I need to affirm her. She's going deeper and deeper into these suicidal ideations. I need to find out more. Finding out, obviously, led her down a path that says, whoa, 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 stop that. You are hurting your child. So she stopped. Especially when her child starts talking about hormone therapy, testosterone therapy. It's like, no. The child died at 18. Child was introduced to transgenderism 2 years earlier. She was underage. And she was already talking about suicide. Well, before suicide, was talking about changing her body, mutilating herself. She was literally going down a rabbit hole. Mother's concerned. Anyway, this is what Elvira Syed found interesting in all of this as she continued her investigation.
And don't forget, according to the internet, Erin Miller is also a chaplain at Yale Pediatric Gender Program. The program which benefits from when young adults go through medical transition. So, was he trying to help my daughter? Or recruiting a new patient? Reverend Erin Miller calls himself a Christian, but I question what kind of gospel he's preaching. Because it's not a pastor, it's not a protector, it's just the voice and the system which tells kids that their problem is their parents.
Again, going back to the DCF report, 94% spike in runaway minors. 94% spike. You have Elvira talking about how her child is isolating her, doesn't want anything to do with her. Okay? The fact that you could have a stranger contact DCF to rip a child from their parents. Why? Because of gender ideology. Anybody? What are you thinking? I'm thinking, and I know you are, we need to find out, hey, DCF, how many other cases are we seeing here? In fact, we do know, because they admitted it, that Fiorello guy, Tony Fiorello, whatever his nonsense name is, we found out that this guy has helped thousands of kids. It looks like contacting DCF is a, natural thing for these folks. Because as Elvira is saying here, he works at the Yale Pediatric Gender. In fact, let me get the full name of it here. I think I have it. Was it Yale Pediatric Gender Center? We looked them up. Christy Oleski. She's in child adolescent psychology at the Yale Pediatric Gender Center. We found a little tape of her. Listen to the breakdown of her job.
I am the director of the Yale Gender Program, which is an interdisciplinary program working with gender-expansive individuals, 3 to 25, and their families. We help individuals who are questioning their gender identity or who identify as transgender or non-binary. We help them with their gender journey, thinking through the risks and the benefits of medical intervention, starting medical intervention, and also building supports around them.
Did you hear that first part? She's helping people on their transgender journey. What ages did Christy Oleski say that she was assisting them in their transgender journey?
Working with gender-expansive individuals, 3 to 25, and their families. Ages
3 to 25. Folks, this is at Yale. This is at Yale. Yeah, Nick is going 3. Yes, you heard it.
Working with gender expansive individuals, 3 to 25, and their families.
That's right. Why would, 3 years old? I really 3 years old? That's the group that's associated with these 2 yahoos. And we know that they're breaking the law. They openly admit it. They're saying that they're giving chest compressors to children under 18. They're getting them for free, and they're giving them to children. It's against the law for them to do it, but then, yada, 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 don't say nothing. No foul, nobody say a word. Here's a little more of Elvira talking about the death of her child.
On Monday, October 2014, I received a knock at the door of my house. Police people were standing behind it. And they said, my son, Raven Syed, took his life. He was found dead, and his body was lying in the dorm for 4 days, undiscovered, at Rider University in New Jersey. Thank you so much, Aaron Miller, for this.
Like I said, go to Project Veritas. You can go to the YouTube page. You can watch it yourself. Now, again, something like this web of craziness in this transgender, transform your kid, mutilate your child in the state of Connecticut, associations with people like the governor. Yeah, it was just, a couple of years ago when it was alleged that a transgender kid was beaten to death inside of a bathroom. That story turned out to be false. It happened in another state, but of course, without thought, the governor, Ned Lamont, was holding press conferences with Reverend Aaron Miller. There we've got the photographs. Sitting up there talking about transgender kids are welcome in Connecticut. Advocating for this behavior, advocating for these children to be lured into these, not just ideologies, into what can only be described as cults, to mutilate themselves, to harm themselves. And remember, if these folks are on the up and up, why are they hiding now? If they've got nothing to hide, why hide? What I find even more despicable, where's the news media? Where is any of them on this story? It's been close to 48 hours, and not one person has found interest in it. The culprits have gone into hiding. After they found out that the story broke, they've gone into hiding. No interest by the local news media at all? No one wants to break that story on how a child may have been harmed, may have lost their life due to the radical exposure to this? We'll see. We'll see. This woman is an immigrant who lost her baby. I thought that was the most important people there, Chris Murphy. And she's Muslim, too. Wow. Whew. We'll see. We'll take your phone calls on the opposite side of this, so stick around. You can also join us in the chat room. Go to reaseonradio.com. We'll be back after this.
Listen to WTIC News Talk 1080 on the free Odyssey app. Download and like WTIC today for alerts on special programming.
Let's get to the phones. Christine is in Middletown. She and I have been conversing about this back and forth online, texting each other. When you first got to watch the second part of this, you said to me that this is heartbreaking. Give me your take on this so far, so now that you've had an opportunity to sort of take it all in.
Well, if someone would ask me, a relative of a, quote, trans child, the first response, and it has to be this by everyone, Reese, would be, what's your parents or guardians think?
Mm-hmm.
And if they say, well, when they're not affirmed, I go, here's the only thing we could do. Why don't we reach out and maybe get a therapist? If you want, I could show up. Everything has to be done with parental knowledge and consent or legal guardians.
Yeah.
You can't circumvent that. You can't pull ends around. And was this kid actually the poor child that killed themselves? Were they really gender dysphoric, or was they being taught something? Did this kid have another mental health comorbidity that got overlooked? It's too many times we're finding, hey, gender dysphoria, but it's really something going on in the child's head, Reese. You know, this whole practice.
I believe, and I think a part of this, you know, it's not really a part of the Project Veritas story, but, and I didn't play this audio, you know, obviously for context reasons, but if you watch the video as you did, do you remember the interesting part where Elvira says that she went to a surprise visit at the campus in New Jersey, and she went and got her favorite Pakistani food. And when she got there, she knocked on the door, and her daughter took a long time to open the door, and when she did, she was unrecognizable. Her hair had been cut; it was different colors. She did, and her daughter's usual, "Hey, Mom, how are you?" and hugging. Her response was, "No, hello, and what are you doing here?" And again, she's blindsided by this, which only leads me to believe she's on a college campus where she was clearly indoctrinated here.
Absolutely. That's what happens, indoctrinated. The fact is, gender dysphoria is an actual medical condition. It's brutal to live with. But it's being glamorized for young people. It has to stop. I said this the other day with you. We need to confirm it. Instead, we are affirming it everywhere, and look what's happening. And don't, you know what, Reese? We got to call out Tony Ferriello a little more.
Yeah.
Because you know what? He was a consultant for the Guilford education system. And I sent you that clip of that little 20-second, you're free to play it when, with trans people in Connecticut don't agree with transitioning kids. I have to talk to them. No, that wasn't trans people in Connecticut. He's talking about to me.
What? I assumed that he was, but
that was me. Yeah.
Saying that in essence, pretty much putting it on his back that I'll deal with those people who do not affirm or who give pushback. In essence,
if we are in this mess, we have Project Veritas in this case, and we have a dead child because of attitudes like that.
Yeah, indeed. Yeah, thank you, Christine. Like I said, I'm going to follow this. I think one reporter so far has actually taken an interest in this. I don't want to give away anything yet until I know for certain, and I should have a second reporter who I'm contacting that will probably cover it here in Connecticut. Just two will get others to follow up, and I'm still working to see if I can get Elvira on the show because Elvira lives here.
Hey, Reese, if I could be of use to those reporters, send them my way.
You got it.
I think in this time of all what's going on, it's here to a realistic voice from the, quote, trans community, which I use air quotes about that.
Yeah, indeed. You're absolutely, and I definitely will. Thank you so much. You got it. The part that, and I felt like I was like, go on a crusade, Reese. Just go ahead. Why not? On the other side, I just went, you know what? I don't want it to be my crusade. However, I'm not abandoning this. I got to tell you why. This one is just a hard one to check. It's like Ahab a little bit for me. And what I've seen over the years was the bullying tactic that was this movement. And again, it has nothing to do with lesbian, gay, bisexual, none of that. It's the transgender stuff. This transgender movement has been volatile, extremely volatile. It has been pushy. It has been bullying. It's far more than a cult. It's turned into sort of, brown shirts in a lot of ways. It has become a very volatile movement. And recently, only recently, has there been a pushback enough to put them on their heels. And I got to say this. I think it's time to crush them. I'm sorry. And they could take that offensively if they want to. But you should live any way that you want to live. If you want to be transgender, that's fine. But this stuff, that's got to be crushed. It's got to be crushed. Absolutely. We'll talk more about this. We've got top of the hour news coming up with John Silva. Your phone calls, of course, are next at 860-522-WTIC. We'll play some more from the video from 2 days ago as well. So stand by for that. All right? It's Reese on the radio on WTIC News Talk 1080.
Reese on the radio, making sense of the news. Yeah, even when it makes no sense at all. Now on WTIC News Talk 1080.
All right, we got plenty of stuff to get into today. I didn't even mention, we have a guest today who's going to have a discussion with us about the Project Veritas videos. She's had an opportunity to check them out. She's been a guest on this show, and that's Representative Anne Dauphinais. So I finally learned how to pronounce her name. Representative Anne Dauphinais, who is the ranking member on the legislature's Committee on Children. We're going to talk to her and see if we could get some focus on the Metropolitan Community Church to, again, get some answers. This isn't about, hauling them in. This is finding out and having an investigation and bringing attention to parents about what's going on there. These folks have admitted that they are helping, in their words, thousands of kids. And they're even going so far as to break the law, which they admit.
Do you have a binder? Do you bind?
This is, what is it, Tony Fiorello. Is that his name? Yeah, that's his name. That's what he says. Let me see if I can play this audio, and then I'll get to your phone calls. Again, this is him, his words, doesn't think he's being recorded. So, of course, as you know, Project Veritas likes to say, when they don't think they're being recorded, they can say what's truly on their mind. Here he is, Tony Fiorello.
Do you have a binder? Do you bind? Do you bind your chest? You have one? Okay, because we give away free binders. All right, they're supposed to be for 18 plus because legally that's what we have to do. But we can always give one to Reverend Miller and see what he does with it. Whatever he does with it is none of my business. You know what I'm saying?
Reverend Miller and Tony told our journalists they could secretly provide a breast binder to 12-year-old Justin. Chest binding compresses chest tissue to create a more masculine appearance for those experiencing gender dysphoria. Despite research linking it to physical and psychological risks like pain, breathing problems, and damaged breast tissue, they express no concern about supplying the binder to Justin without his parents' approval.
Now, remember, again, what's damning here, which is why both of these individuals have gone dark. If you go to their website now, their telephone number reads all zeros for the Metropolitan Community Church. By the way, where's Black Lives Matter? Aren't they associated with them? Perhaps I should give them a call. Aren't they in close alliance with this organization, this church? Perhaps we should contact Evilise, who probably has no comment. We'll see. Perhaps the NAACP has something to add as well. I understand they're all close allies. That's very interesting that these folks went dark. But there he is admitting, we legally can't give it to you, but you know what? We'll give it to Pastor Miller, aiding and abetting in a crime. And the subject, if you missed it 2 days ago, the person who they think they're talking to is not the parent of a 12-year-old girl. Not the parent. An adult who has brought a 12-year-old girl to their attention. And these folks are talking about how they can get around the law, how they can get around parental consent. That's why they went dark. That's why they're in hiding. That's why no one is talking. We'll see. Let's go to Adam in East Hartford. How are you doing, sir?
Hey, we haven't talked in a long time. I didn't know, I'll be honest with you, if I offended another caller.
Nah, you're fine. We're just trying to mix it up as much as we can. What do you got going on, Adam?
Okay. Well, I want to thank you for your concern. Remember how that everything keeps getting brighter and brighter for me?
Good.
With that eye issue, remember?
Oh, yeah.
Can you believe SS disability, they're a pain in the arse. You got a guy that's 61, almost 62, and they're making me hire a lawyer, you know?
Damn it. That could be rough, Adam.
I mean, they said in spite of the fact that you have some light sensitivity, balance issues, fatigue, tremors, and all the stuff going on, they're looking for you to come in with a wheelchair.
Adam, tomorrow is the airing of grievances, if you want to call back on that.
Yeah, that's what I do want. Can I talk about the world stage though?
No, I gotta stay on this one though. But I appreciate the call nonetheless. Just give us a call tomorrow. You can air as many grievances as you want, buddy. No offense. I'm sorry. I'm kind of on a roll here. Like I said, in the next hour, we'll have a conversation with Representative Anne Dauphinais. Got to say it many times. Dauphinais. She's the ranking member of the Legislature's Committee on Children. We'll find out why no one's talking about this while most people are running for the hills. Because they're not going to address this. What do they care about your kids? They talk that nonsense about your kids are the most important, and child care and raising them in safe homes and safe environments. These people don't care. That's why I tell you I can't. I'm working, by the way, just so you know, I'm working my behind off. I think myself, Mark in West Hartford, and anyone else who wants to join us, what I'm going to do is I'm going to spend, I think, the third, maybe even the fourth week of July, pounding the pavement in Hartford. And I need to get comments from every one of these elected officials and have them speak to me, come up with, at least have a comment, address this issue. Because the church, look, how do I put this? They can't go back to business as usual. Not with this hanging over their head. Do you understand what I'm saying here? They cannot conduct themselves in a way that endangers the lives of children. And the only way that's going to happen is if someone holds them to account. And this, a lot of people may believe that they can just sit back, we'll just go dark. They'll eventually get over this, leave us alone, and we'll go back to business as usual. We'll change our telephone number. We won't put our telephone number on the website anymore. We'll just have an email. Now, I know there's some people out there. You cannot tell me that it's just progressives, it's just people on the left who are not going to stand in front of this church and hold the picket. There's just no way. You cannot tell me that people can sit idly by in the news media and not cover it. That some noise cannot be made about this. Because look, none of this is about being transgender. There's nothing what this is about. In fact, if you are a supporter of the transgender community, let me make this clear, at least where I stand, so that you understand. I got nothing against you and your belief or your way of life. Don't care, really don't care at all. In fact, no interest. You're not even a blip on my radar. But if you want to contest my point of view on this and what the Metropolitan Community Church of Hartford is doing, then you have a problem. Then you have a problem with me. And don't do it in darkness. Don't do it like a coward. Come at me. Defend what they're doing. Because, again, I mean, you have to, in my head, you're going to have to defend why they're in hiding. And I'm sure you come up with a bunch of excuses. I could come up with 5 of them for you right now off the top of my head. They don't want to be scrutinized. There's a lot of haters out there, and they're probably fearful of their lives. You're not understanding what they're trying to do, and you're putting them in harm's way. Sound like you? Sound like an excuse? That's okay. I'll help you. I'll make up some for you. They're easy. They're easy. You see, look, this is one of those things where I say if you're going to throw a stone, don't hide your hand. You don't say things like, don't tell anybody. You don't say things like, don't communicate that the parents don't know. Right? Because everything's on the up and up. There's no reason to hide a thing. Let me see it. Where's this? Right here. This is Tony Fiorillo. Says what he can't do legally. This is him in his own words. Takes a second. I apologize.
The youth group is, I started in 2008. I started as just a teen group. And then I started an art group for kids 12 and under. One of the main rules guidelines of the group is do not disclose the location to anyone for safety reasons. And that's really big, especially now. If you didn't know, this is a high school that's a farm. It's so far out there that nobody knows where it is. And I think that's safe for us. Between me and you, and this is not being recorded, I can't know that they don't know.
Right.
To put them into the group.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? Wink, wink. No. I can't say to you, take them there behind the parents' back. I can't do that. But
I can't say to you, take the child to the farm behind the parents' back. I can't do it.
What I can say is tell you that, sometimes other families will take other kids because they're going, they're sleeping over and then they're going out the next morning.
But I can tell you how other parents have been able to do it behind their parents' back. Defend it. Just defend that. Well, parents may not be for it and you have to protect the child. So you're doing exactly what Reverend Aaron Miller's doing here, right? Why not do what he did with Elvira's daughter? Just contact DCF, right? The parents might not be for gender-affirming care, may not recognize the child's chosen gender. Just sick the feds on them. That's all. File a DCF report. That's all you need to do. Apparently, that's easy as ever. Reverend Allen did just that. Or Reverend Miller did just that. Just said, hey, she doesn't want to affirm me. That's all right. I'll contact DCF. It's all right. I'll get an investigation. Make sure that she follows the rules. That's all you have to do. You don't have to do no need to sneak around at all. It's insanity. It's all insanity. And it's like right there, story, big as John Kennedy likes to say, big as Dallas. Stories big as Dallas. And they're just ignoring it. I know a lot of your kids are, too old, but you got grandkids. You got grandkids in the area. I was just talking to my good friend the other day. His kids got kids. They're in their 30s. Their kids go to the schools in and around here. This kind of behavior is being protected. Talking to my friend yesterday, man, it's like one of those movies where you go to a small town, and then when you get in a small town, you find out that things are done in a way that you're not used to. Like I'm the fish out of water. Just walked into town, and I see the corruption everywhere, and I go, wait, that can't be allowed to happen. Why is that happening? And then somebody nudges you, and they go, hey, buddy, hi. That's just the way we do things around here. Yeah. This ain't like out in New York. Right here, we do things differently. There's a code. There's ethics here. Sheriff, he gets to do whatever he wants. City council, they do whatever they want. Nobody says nothing. Huh? We'll start no beef. Huh? Stay in your place. Let's go along, get along. You just do things differently. That's what's happening here. It's like, does anybody in the news media want to cover this? Hey, buddy, listen. News media ain't gonna tell. They're not gonna tell no tales, huh? Some of them men own it. That's just the way it is. How could it not? A normal person who's listening to all of this, how could you're not listening to this, finding out that there is a church in the middle of Hartford, in the capital city, that is assisting 12-year-olds behind parents' backs, has secret camps and circuses, luring those kids into an ideology without their parents' consent. And nobody wants to cover it, and you don't think this is something straight out of a movie? Like no one. Not one person wants to cover it and say, you know what, there's a Pulitzer in this. I know how vain these people are. I know how much they wish to advance their own careers. They're all looking for the national attention, but this story they won't touch. Why? I'll tell you why, because I know it to be true. I know it to be a fact. Because the newsrooms tell them they can't. They say to him, I know you got a great scoop, but if you write that story, we'll lose coverage. We won't get in on the politicians, on the people who matter. If you write that story, we'll be isolated. We'll have to cover stories like groundhogs and bears. We'll never get the exclusive interviews with the people who matter. Shut it down. Come on, man. Really? That's where we are? That's what this state is turned into? That's what Connecticut is now? It's the go-along state? Just get rid of the Constitution state. Just get rid of it. It's the go-along state. It's to go along and get along. I don't like to use the term cowards, but you know what? That's what it is. Don't want to lose your precious little access. Don't want to lose your access to dudes like Chris Murphy, Dick Blumenthal, heavy hitters, real political heavyweights. Ned Lamont. Frickin' guy looks like he should have Oakley Dokley on his license plate. That's the guy. That's the dude they're protecting. Fuck out of here. It's a sad, yeah, Susan said, a Stephen King novel. Exactly. Exactly. Whatever. What can you say? And I hear you guys. I'm not even going there. Oh. Word up. Whew. We come back. More news, more views. I got headlines coming up, so go nowhere. It's Reese on the radio on NewsTalk 1080 WTIC.
Hi, this is Mike Allen, WTIC AM pilot and traffic reporter. Happy birthday, WTIC.
And we're back, Reese on the radio. And let's do this thing. Like I said, we'll have Representative Anne Dauphinais on the air in about 30 minutes to talk about this story with Elvira, Syed, and the Metropolitan Church, Metropolitan Community Church of Hartford. So stay tuned for that. In the news, a court on Wednesday has ordered the state's chief utility regulator to submit to questioning under oath by the utility lawyers days after she acknowledged deleting, she says inadvertently, a controversial text message exchange that could help explain who was behind an unusual news opinion column vilifying the utility industry. Superior Court Judge Matthew J. Budzik issued an order late Wednesday concluding in part that the deletion, which occurred months ago but was concealed until Monday, deprived two utility companies suing the Public Utility Control Authority access to what he had granted them in April to the electronic messages. Also, New York real estate brokers say that they've been flooded with calls from people looking to flee New York after the Mamdani primary win just yesterday. It says that the Gateway Pundit is reporting that some Jewish people are also planning to flee the city after the communist Muslim Zoran Mamdani won the Democratic primary race for mayor. And again, that's not a slight. That's what he refers to himself. Now it's being reported that some real estate brokers are saying the same, that they're going to flee. I did not know this. There are over 350,000, that's a lot, of millionaires in the city of New York. The population of 8 million or 7 million for that matter. I guess that seems a reasonable amount. But as my wife was telling me earlier today, when she saw that report, I said, that's interesting because New York has lost 250,000 residents, I think within a 10-year span, maybe even a 5-year span. So the likelihood that this Mamdani character would win, it's likely 350,000 of those folks just, moving over to the next state of New Jersey, which I do understand has an election coming up, is quite possible. In a case that, I thought that after the indictment of Carmelo Anthony, that there would be enraged people in the streets screaming and hollering, but there hasn't been. For those of you who haven't been paying attention to this story because it's gotten out of the news cycle, because of course many people ignored it, Carmelo Anthony stabbed Austin Metcalf at a rained-out track meet a couple of months ago. Now video has surfaced that the UK Daily Mail can see that Carmelo stabbed Austin unprovoked. And that prompted the indictment of Carmelo Anthony for premeditated murder in the first degree, of course. But now, Minister Dominique Alexander, the appointed spokesperson for the Anthony family, says that this, quote, we were informed by the Collin County District Attorney that Carmelo Anthony has been indicted. As many of you know, this is the first step in criminal proceeding, and now the legal process will move forward towards trial. Over the past several months, I've worked closely with Carmelo's family to ensure them that they have the proper legal representation and the support they need to navigate this incredibly complex and emotionally charged case. Let me be honest. It is easy to go on social media and give an opinion. It is easy to post without facts. And sadly, even some people who have claimed to be supporters have shared misinformation, not always with bad intent, but still harmful. This case, get ready for it, this case involves multiple minors and sensitive details, and I cannot and will not speak about it publicly. That is why, from the beginning, I have refused to let this be tried in a court of public opinion. There will be a trial. There will be a courtroom. And NGAN, which is the National Some Action Network, whatever, is committed to making sure Carmelo Anthony receives a fair trial, free from lies, outside interference, and bigotry. To the racists and bigots, and to those filled with hate who have targeted Carmelo and his Anthony, and even myself, you do not intimidate us. We will not be backing down. This is yet another example of what it means to be black in America, where even our self-defense is questioned, scrutinized, and politicized. Yeah. The murder of a boy in cold blood is racial. The only person who did that was Carmelo. Maybe even not so much then. I think he just stabbed him because he thought he could or he should. I don't think it had anything to do with race. I think he just stabbed him because the boy even approached him. Thought, what are you approaching me for? I don't know, black privilege, anyone? I don't know. Florida, a Republican state, is also losing people. People leave other states for different reasons, Donald writes. Florida, a Republican state, is losing people. Donald, now, look, I with all due respect, don't come on here and lie. Please don't come on here and lie. Of course, every state loses people. But your statement is disingenuous. I don't want to call it a lie. I'm just using the fancy word for it. Every state has people who move out of it for a ton of reasons. New York lost 250,000. California lost so many people that it lost an electoral college vote. Look it up. It used to be 55. Now it's 54. Why is it 54 instead of 55? Here's why. The population used to be over 40 million. It's now down to 38. Close to 39, but still under 40. And you get your electoral college votes based upon what? Your population. Texas gained one. The two most moved to states, or the three most moved to states, are, not in any particular order, Texas, Florida, and Tennessee. The states that most people move out of, New York and California. Overwhelmingly. And why do they move out? You know why. Because the taxes are ridiculously high. I try really, really hard. It's just sometimes it's just incredible to talk to people. But everybody knows this. Everybody knows that people move to Florida. In fact, when everyone was quarantined, remember that during COVID? And you could look this up yourself. It's actually funny. Florida was one of the only states that refused to force businesses to close down or for people to mask up. They were not restrictive in any way. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, who were telling her constituents in her own state to mask up and to quarantine, was photographed in Florida at a bar during vacation. Okay? Even Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. Okay. So I know you're trying to make a case for this, but it's a ridiculous point. More people are moving to Florida than they are moving out. More people are moving to Texas than they are moving out. More people are moving out of California than they are moving in. More people are moving out of New York. Would you move to New York, Donald? I don't think so. Lord knows I'm not going back. Roland, if you had to live in New York, where would you live? You've been there before, right?
Yeah.
Where would you live if you had to live there and the job?
Nowhere near Manhattan or any of that, any of those places.
You would live in one of the boroughs like Queens, Staten Island, Brooklyn?
No.
No?
A little bit outside of that.
Okay, so you like Westchester County, maybe?
Yeah, something like that. White Plains.
White Plains. Look at you. You know what? Applaud that man. Applaud that man. He's got no interest in your hood. Leave that bang, bang, shoot 'em up, rapper die slow nonsense for your hood. Y'all can celebrate that all day. He wants no parts. God bless you. I don't blame you. I wouldn't do it either. I don't think I could ever move back to like the inner city. My wife is, let me tell you this before we go to break. So my wife is helping a family member who is fallen on hard times. And no need to get into all that, but my wife is trying to help them out, get them into a 12-step program, get their life back in order. Pretty much she got them a place to stay last night, took them to a meeting, got them a sponsor, and trying to get the place that they're staying. They got to get a job within 2 weeks, so she's driving her to places to get her a job. And it's a really, really noble thing that my wife is doing. I'm very proud of her for doing that because she's, wasting my gas money. I'm kidding. But she's helping this young lady out and getting them on the right path. And while she's there, she's texting me while she's in some of these offices, right? Some of these financial institutions that sort of help you give a leg up, like welfare, food stamps, and all that other stuff. But she's putting her through the motions so she can get sort of her feet up under her. And my wife is there, and there's an interesting potpourri of people who are in these buildings. And she was texting me about, I guess, some parent that was there with her children, and she says one of the 5-year-olds was running around the office screaming at the top of their lungs and like would not restrain. The mother wouldn't restrain this child. Just allowed them like to go like kind of free range, like menace. And Roseanne is texting me and she's like, whew. She goes, I'm so glad that I she did not stay growing because she grew up poor. She grew up struggling like many of us did. And, it gave her an opportunity to look at her life from a perspective that says, I came from this and I have a home. I came from this and I went into the military. I thank God that I got the opportunity to expand my reach, if you will. So she looked at that, and as much as she kind of was almost compelled to look down her nose, she was self-reflective and said, this could have been me. There before the grace of God go I. That's kind of the way you look at it. That could be you. So I'm glad that she's doing that. I'm glad she's getting an opportunity to go back. I get that a lot when people say to me, it was like, Reese, you forgot where you came from. Absolutely not, my friend. I remember exactly where I came from. And as Robert De Niro says in that movie Heat to Al Pacino, I ain't never going back. I ain't never going back. That's, never going back. I will hustle, whatever it takes, baby, whatever it takes. We'll take a break. More news, more views, your phone calls, 860-522-WTIC, 860-522-9842. Do not forget, we've also got Negro Nonsense. That's everybody's favorite. On this Thursday, it's Reese on the radio on WTIC News Talk 1080.
It's Reese on the radio.
Ask your doctor if common sense is right for you.
On News Talk 1080, WTIC.
By the way, I meant to tell you that when I was playing that audio from the woman who was at the Yale Center, the article about this woman that Pastor or Reverend Miller is a part of, there's an article that's in the New York Post. According to this was on August 19th of 2022. And the headline on the New York Post article, where I got that video from, in fact, if you're just joining us, let me play it so you can hear it. This is Christy Olesky, who is the child adolescent psychology director at the Yale Pediatric Gender Society or whatever it is. They're the ones who actually get your kid inside these rooms to discuss your gender, preferences and the processes to get your gender-affirming care.
I am the director of the Yale Gender Program, which is an interdisciplinary program working with gender-expansive individuals, 3 to 25, and their families. We help individuals who are questioning their gender identity or who identify as transgender or non-binary.
So as you heard there, she, again, dealing with people as young as 3 to 25. And the headline of the New York Post article says, Yale professor ripped for helping toddlers with gender journey. As she put it, you've heard it there, helping them with their gender journey. Well, Yale was forced to take it down because of the criticism, which again, same case with the Metropolitan Church, right? The Metropolitan Community Church. What happens when people get a taste or get a sense of what you're doing? Well, it turns around, people go, what? What do you mean 3 years old? And again, you have to ask yourself, why would you put something out there that you had to retract or put down or run away from if it wasn't controversial? If it didn't go against just some sense of decency or normalcy, why would you do it? Evident. The reason why is because, these folks live in a bubble, and I get that too. When you live in a bubble, when everybody's attaboying you, patting you on your back, yes, that's great. Really? 3-year-olds? Wow. Impressive. No one even bothers to ask, really? How do you communicate with a 3-year-old about gender ideology? I've had a 3-year-old. I've got, in fact, 2 kids, and they've all been 3 years old. I don't remember them once talking about them feeling like a girl or a boy. I mean, how do you broach that conversation with a toddler? Not one, no. These folks, it's attaboy, have another champagne. Oh, do you know where this caviar comes from? That's all. They give each other awards, They give each other grants. That's all. That's all they do. They hold lectures, silly little TED Talks about stuff that makes no sense. A bunch of academics sit there listening, nodding their head like a bunch of mind-numb robots. Yes, tell us more about the 3-year-old's transgender journey. Yes, it's fascinating. Bozos. So I say, when I look at these people, these intellectuals, yes, Donald, I'm looking at you. These intellectuals who try to lecture us. Donald's in the chat room talking about my credibility. With who? With you? You must be bugging. That's funny. Let's get our first check of the weather and traffic with Jason Caterina and Mark Christopher's in the BPS Traffic Center. Hey, man.
I love your Thurston Howell III impression. It's very good.
I love doing that. That's one of my favorite things to do.
It's a good one.
It's Reese on the radio.
And don't say we didn't warn you on News Talk 1080 WTIC.
All right, we're back, and stay tuned. We're going to have Representative Anne Dauphinais, who is the ranking member on the legislature's Committee on Children. We'll talk to her about Elvira Syed and the Metropolitan Community Church of Hartford, what's going on there, and, of course, this very, very rising concern with parents across the state, if not across the country, about transgender indoctrination and, of course, without consent, the Project Veritas video. We'll get to that. Now, this, what I'm going to say is inflammatory, but I hope it is. And I'm saying it's intentional. There are 2 people in the world you never, ever trust with statistics. Never trust with statistics. They are 2 people that you never trust. 1, over-ambitious liberals. What I mean by over-ambitious liberals are over-ambitious liberals who only want to strike wins against you in a debate. They never read. They look at everything on the surface. They never dig deep. They see something, they grab it, they glom onto it. That's how the activism movement starts. Once they find out the real details, they all, then walk away when they look like fools. So never trust them. Second, who's the other group? Sorry, black liberals. You can't trust them. Not with statistics. Not with the facts. You can't. You can't. Why? Because the facts always eliminate what they believe. Especially when they're preaching things like racism, numbers. You just can't. They're worse than white liberals. They just are. Let me explain. So I get this text from Donald. According to the Florida Chamber of Commerce, the latest migration report says that 500,000 people left the state of Florida last year. You know what he didn't realize was in the same report? That when 500,000 people left Florida, it gained 637,000. That's what we call a net gain of 137,000, dude. You see how that works? So when people left, they replenished them immediately in the same amount of time. If you'd read the report that you linked, you'd have known that. And I wouldn't have sent it at all because it totally dismisses your whole argument. Bye-bye now. Let's get another check of traffic and weather from two people I know I can trust. Jason Caterina and Mark Christopher in the BPS Traffic Center. Hey, Mark.
Doesn't Florida, they have an elderly population?
Incredible. In fact, that's what the report says, that they
Right.
replaced the average age of 32-year-olds with 60-year-olds.
Right. So, unfortunately, when we get older, some of us pass on. So,
yeah,
a lot of people leave and go to the afterlife. I think is that in their report too?
No, it is not. It's a great point.
Well, I was just that's the first thing I thought of. I'm like, yeah, a lot of people leave Florida every year for
no doubt.
that reason alone. Hey,
President of the Chris Murphy Fan Club, Reese on the radio on News Talk 1080 WTIC.
Hey now, and we're back. More news, more views than you can shake a stick at. It's Reese on the radio on WTIC News Talk 1080. As promised, we have a guest in the house. Representative Anne Dauphinais is on the phone. Hello, Representative. How are you today?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm doing great. Now, am I finally figuring out how to pronounce your name? Because I've been beating myself up because I got it wrong the last time.
I think you did fine. It's Dauphinais.
That's right. I'm doing it right. Okay, that's what I thought.
You're doing it right.
So I'm assuming Adam has given you the opportunity, or you took the opportunity yourself, to check out both videos of Without Consent by Project Veritas. Have you seen them yet?
I did. I'm very aware of the case and what happened. And quite frankly, this is probably one of many, many cases across the state I'm suspecting. And as I've been told that, I think parents are petrified to come forward because of just what happened in this case, right? Yeah. I've been talking about the pornography in schools and in the school books, and I think it starts there because these books are available to our children without parental consent, and now we've passed a bill that makes it really hard for parents to even object. And quite frankly, gives immunity to our to our librarians for any repercussions of putting this kind of material in the books. And we're starting there. We're starting there with grooming our children so that when these conversations come about, it's very normalized to them. So I think it's very concerning what happened in the state. I think that we're talking about dysphoria. That's been a diagnosis of dysphoria, right? So if it's dysphoria, why are we proceeding to support this dysphoria? Yeah. In particular with our children, right?
Medically.
But I think most concerning, and I want to say this before we end and I want to get it out now.
Sure.
I'm on Children's and we talk about DCF a lot, and I did put in a bill 5336. And people can look it up, 5336. I was denied the opportunity to get a committee hearing on that bill, and it exactly spoke to this very issue of the intervention of DCF when a parent doesn't support this dysphoria and support a child in any kind of changes, pronouns, calling, so on and so forth. In fact, we know that in the schools, right, teachers are calling the children different pronouns. And from what I understand, some of the schools even have changing rooms.
Yes.
So children can arrive, change their clothes, and take on a different identity when they get to school. And so then when they go back home, they're going back home again, returning back to their sex, their real biological sex.
Right.
And I think children are being convinced that they can change their sex. And that is just absolutely absurd. A boy is never going to be a girl, and a girl's never going to be a boy.
Exactly right. We're on the phone with Representative Anne Dauphinais, who is the ranking member on the legislature's Committee on Children. You talked about DCF. I want to get to that because as you saw in the Part 2 series of Elvira Syed's story about her daughter Eileen, what was so crazy about this was how Reverend Miller used DCF to separate Elvira's child from her.
Yes. So I want to make you aware that not that long ago on the DCF website page, it spoke specifically to this issue. If your parents don't support this, and it spoke to reaching out because they would find people that would support you with this dysphoria. So he, rightly so, took the avenue that our state has supported. I put this bill in to change that, and I was told that this doesn't happen. It doesn't exist. I wasn't allowed to get a committee hearing on it, and I can tell you that I was told by DCF that this never happens, but that had been on their website page. We know by this parent that it happens, and I'm promising you that there's many other people in this state that have experienced this very same thing and are afraid to come forward. They're petrified.
Representative Dauphinais, that's the point that I'm reading. So there's an article by Brandon Whitting, I think his last name is, on the Connecticut, it's called the Connecticut Inside Investigators site. It's called insideinvestigators.org. Here's the headline. DCF audits finds 94% spike in runaway child incidents. Inside the article, it says that it found 606 children have gone missing, a total of 3,736 times. Now, again, I don't know what the reasoning is behind these 606 students who have run away all of these times. But when we know that DCF is assisting in removing, if not getting children to isolate themselves from their parents because of this gender dysphoria, it's worth looking into. You know what I mean? Because we're talking about the one of the advocates here, I think Tony Fiorello, whatever his name is, this guy is talking about helping thousands of kids in Connecticut.
Yeah.
And I think that there's some association. It has to be if DCF is being involved.
Yeah. Before we go any further, I want to say something else, too, because I want to say this to all the parents out there, okay? Mm-hmm. If DCF shows up at your door, do not let them in. Get a lawyer if that's what you have to do. Do not let them in your house. I'm sending this warning dart out in the air for every parent out there.
Sure.
Talk to your children and support their sex that they were born in, and tell them that there are people out there that are going to try to confuse you. And talk to them about this matter. This is serious. This is very, very serious. And I know, I know from putting this bill in that there's a lot of denial out there. We also know that we're in a state that pushes. We're pushing all kinds of things to allow children to do without parental consent, right? A few years ago in my very own town, they pushed a mental health clinic in our schools. Wow. And the big objection to the mental health clinic is that children can be seen without their parents' knowledge or consent. Children can go to a school and be called a different pronoun and change their clothes without parental consent. Children can get an abortion without parental knowledge or consent. Children, we believe, are getting, we know they're being socially transitioned. That's going on in the schools, right? That's without parental knowledge or consent. It's being supported in the schools. This is all happening without parental knowledge or consent. We're a state that does not respect parents and their authority and their ability to raise their children how they see fit. It's really, really, really disgusting and concerning.
Let me get back to the thing you said about if DCF comes to your door, do not let them in. A tactic that is often used by DCF, and I know that you know this, so I'm not telling you anything new, but parents may not know. DCF often arrives at your home with police. Is that the case that a lot of these parents, because I think that intimidation is what causes these parents to not resist. Do you have any advice for them?
I believe they still have the right to have an attorney present.
I believe so, of course.
I believe they do. So please don't let them intimidate you.
Right.
You're the parent of these children. You know, these children have, from what I understand, and I believe it to be true, especially after this case, right?
Yeah.
Children have been convinced that they don't need to I don't want to say obey their parents because that's a big word.
But even communicate. You know, communicate with their parents.
Communicate with their parents. Thank you. They've been convinced not to do that, and that if their parents aren't supporting this dysphoria, that they will find people that will support that. And I believe to be true, children have been moved out of families, homes, just like this case that came out, right?
Yeah, sure.
And taken away because parents didn't support this dysphoria. So now they're in the hands of DCF. And from what I understand, there's been many husky payments made with regard to transitioning and some of these services, these puberty blockers. I don't know if they're under the authority of DCF. Mm-hmm. I don't know if parental consent has been given. All of these things are very concerning. And I think with the resistance I got with the bill I put in, it really, really blows all of this up because this is exactly why I put the bill in. I believed it to be true. I was told it wasn't, and I wasn't given the opportunity to get a hearing on it. I think parents are petrified to come forward. They don't want to lose their children.
Yeah.
And I'm telling them, I'm sending out the warning here. Please be very, very careful and talk to your children. Have conversations with them every day.
Indeed. We're on the phone with Representative Anne Dauphinais, who is the ranking member of the Legislature Committee on Children. Representative, this issue is huge. What the bill that you're trying to get passed or at least looked at or get voted on is huge. I know that you guys send out press releases all the time. I spoke to a former reporter. One of the things that he's expressed to me that's a big problem here, especially with Republicans and the news media, is that you guys send out press releases to these folks all the time in the local news, and you are ignored. What is that? What is that process like, where these people in the news media who won't even address stories like this? This is a huge story. The Metropolitan Community Church of Hartford has all but shut down. They have gone dark, which means that, look, the allegations that are coming out about them are damning, but no one's interested in it. Let's
look at recently me talking about the books in the school libraries, right? There was little to be said in Connecticut with that. Very, very little. It went national news across the country.
Sure did.
But our state chose to ignore it. Not one Democrat, not one came out and said, this is horrible that our children are getting exposed to pornography in schools. And that's where it begins. These kids are getting desensitized. They're looking at this stuff. And then parents are scrutinized for objecting to it. And they have to go through this rigmarole in the school to say, look, this is not okay for our children to see.
Isn't that crazy?
And
you know what?
Crazy.
The part that makes me nuts about this, Representative, is you might remember this. I know you and I are old enough to remember this, but remember the concern about video games and by desensitizing kids to online violence, right? We were worried that kids were going to have this sort of dismissive nature about taking a human life because they were allowed to see blood and guts in the video games. Here we are under the same circumstances with sexualizing children, and nobody's speaking up.
Right. I mean, look, Reese, we send our children to public school with some expectations, and I'm going to argue that every parent out there has the same expectations. Their child's not going to be bullied. They're not going to be discriminated against. They're not going to be shot. Well, that's a big thing, right? We're protecting our children from shooters. And I would add that parents expect that they're not going to be exposed to pornography.
Yeah.
Or pornographic language. And that's where it starts. Nor do I think that they believe their children are going to be socially transitioned by the teachers. And now we have mental health clinics in the schools that are affirming because they're not allowed to challenge the children. So, if they're going in there and having these conversations, that they're all to affirm their thoughts of dysphoria. And this is where it's all beginning. And this was my concern from the very beginning about putting mental health clinics in schools. And I objected because it's all about parental consent and parental authority. And this state has absolutely no respect with regard to parents and how they want to raise their children. It's very concerning. And
it should be. Representative Anne Dauphinais, I appreciate you. Thank you on short notice. As always, every time I call, you guys jump on. You're right. And look, you got national attention on this. I love seeing it on Jesse Waters, him talking about it. I was so excited that you got that recognition, that people talked about it. We just need, look, I believe that we need to continue to keep talking about this to the point where the other side is almost pulverized into at least responding. And that's the way I'm approaching this, is that I want this on everybody's, I want this in everybody's mind every day I can bring it out, so that they're forced, even this church, to come out and speak up and tell us what it is that's going on, if these people are indoctrinating children, doing it without parents' consent. And not only that, if there's an illegality happening, that the actual people who are responsible for doing these illegal things are held to account. So I appreciate
Reese,
you.
This child was told that when I think it was the pastor who quote unquote changed from a girl to a boy, he was elated.
Yes,
it was a wonderful feeling, and that this child would have the expectation of having that as well. And what happened to that child? The child committed suicide.
Indeed, we're
making Frankensteins out of our children.
Yeah.
This isn't right. It's not normal, and it's wrong, and we need to do something about it.
Absolutely.
So thank you so much. I'm happy to come on anytime.
You got it. Representative Anne Dauphinais, ranking member of the Legislature Committee on Children. Let's get a check of your weather and traffic with Jason Caterina and Mark Christophers at the BPS Traffic Center. Hey, Mark.
Stay locked in. Reese on the radio is on WTIC News Talk 1080.
All right, coming back in a minute with Negro Nonsense. Don't forget, it's always Thursday, and it's always Negro Nonsense. In fact, I want to say that nothing makes me prouder as somebody on the show who knows that, people who check out the show now and again, but they always show up on Thursday because this segment, and I thought about it long and hard. I said, should I do it? And a couple of people said, yeah, man, do it. It was a great segment on your podcast. And it is. It was great. It was fantastic. And now I know it's got people talking. I know sometimes it got people upset. I do know that it got people laughing. So I love doing it. And some people call it appointment radio, which is what this thing is about. Do you know that now there are more and more so-called blacktivists who come on the show on Thursday, won't check out the show any other day of the week, but show up on Thursday primarily for Negro Nonsense. And it's like, I want to know what Reese on the radio is going to expose today in Negro Nonsense. In that, I couldn't be happier. I couldn't be. My wife says it all the time. You are a humble egomaniac. I am. And I love serving you, no matter what your stripe. I get called every Thursday, by the way. Do you know, like clockwork, every Thursday, before I even air the segment, I get called every Uncle Tom and sellout in the book right before I end up. It's like, it's mean girling, and I think it's hilarious, right? It's like people from the black community that go on my Facebook page or they come to the chat room and they mean girl me like a bunch of children, you a sellout, man. Like my ex-wife, I should call her up and get her on the phone and get her on the show. She would always laugh about that because when we would get into arguments, and I'm talking about drag out, fights, screaming and hollering at each other, that's why it didn't work. She would say the most vile things to me. And I remember one time after we split up and, we were really, really cool and close, and she's still one of my best friends. Just horrible, partners. She said, it used to drive me crazy that I could say the worst things about you and you never reacted. Like I could say that to any other guy in the world and their emotions would kick in and they'd either want to fight, they would scream, and start cursing me out. You would laugh. And I do. I maybe you don't understand it. Maybe it's a weird thing, but I don't know. It's just, I don't, you're spinning your wheels. That's what I'm trying to say. Saying that I cater to Whitey. Okay. I cater to Whitey. They cut the check. It's never bounced. It's never bounced. What am I going to get from you? Attaboys? Huh? Invites to the cookout? I don't eat that garbage anymore. Who eats slave food anyway? Huh? It's the Maha movement. Make America healthy again. Chicken, watermelon, hog moss, collard greens. Nah, this stuff's no good for you. Oh, I've said too much. Let's get to Jason, Katarina, and Mark Christopher, who's in the BPS Traffic Center. Hey, Mark.
Self-proclaimed love child of Rush Limbaugh.
They're running a strange program, y'all.
Reese on the radio on News Talk 1080 WTIC.
We'll get to the phones at 860-522-WTIC, 860-522-9842. Stay on the lines. We'll be with you in a second, but you know what time it is.
Negro nonsense.
How dare you?
Negro nonsense.
How dare you?
Negro nonsense.
How dare you?
It's my favorite. Jamal Bowman, you might remember him. Don't you remember him, Jamal Bowman? They called him, was it Fire Marshal Bowman? He was the guy who pulled the fire alarm when he was too late to a vote, then tried to play it off like he didn't do it. It was an accident. Yeah. Well, he finally got voted out of office. He lost the primary. He's gone. He believes that AIPAC, the Jewish organization, they pretty much fought against him to get rid of him. He's an anti-Semite, so whatever. Former vice principal, real rabble-rouser. He was on CNN not too long ago talking about the reason why people call him, people being called the N-word. Yeah. He is the one who said it.
You can't be calm about this. I'm a black man in America. The reason why heart disease... I'm white, I can't comment. Listen to what I'm saying. The reason why heart disease and cancer and obesity and diabetes are bigger in the black community is because of the stress we carry from having to deal with being called the N-word directly or indirectly every day.
Don't get mad at me because I point out the nonsense here. Don't be mad at me. I didn't provoke him. I didn't tell him this guy is an educator. He's a vice principal. Okay? This guy, people elected in the office. Okay? Voted him out, but nonetheless, he was a member of Congress. He said the reason why blacks suffer from obesity and cancer.
You can't be calm about this. I'm a black man in America. The reason why heart disease... I'm white, I can't comment. Listen to what I'm saying. The reason why heart disease and cancer and obesity and diabetes are bigger in the black community is because of the stress we carry from having to deal with being called the N-word directly or indirectly every day.
What am I supposed to do? What am I supposed to do? I'm supposed to ignore that? Am I supposed to ignore that? Come on, Blacktivists. This is the problem that you have. You ignore this. You don't bring any attention. See, I'm the dirty laundry guy, okay? I told you this before. I'll say it again. I'm the dirty laundry guy. That's my job. If you were trying to look for the savior here at WTIC, you thought I was going to come up here and say power to the people, and I was going to come here and have Al Sharpton on and play, clips from Malcolm X for you every day. Trust me, I'll play those sometimes. But no, it's not going to happen. It's just not going to happen, okay? I told you, I'm okay with you calling me a sellout. I'm all right. I've got that to contend with. That's what I'm competing against. Okay? Just so you know. The reason why I appear rational is because of Jamal Bowman and people who are taken seriously on CNN.
You can't be calm about this. I'm a black man in America. The reason why heart disease...
I'm white, I can't comment
Listen
on
to what I'm saying. The reason why heart disease and cancer and obesity and diabetes are bigger in the black community is because of the stress we carry from having to deal with being called the N-word directly or indirectly every day. If you...
Scientists could not be reached for comment. Actual physicians would not be reached for comments. They probably laughed their behind off after they heard it. But this is considered reasonable commentary. Makes sense. So, hit me up in the chat room. Call me all types of sellouts. Call me all types of catering to the white man. That's okay, but you can't deny it. This, and many like it, is nothing more than
Negro nonsense.
How dare you?
Negro nonsense.
How dare you?
Negro nonsense.
How dare you?
Yes, how dare I? To the phones we go. 860-522-WTIC. Who's first up? Tom in Thomaston. How are you, sir?
Reese, how dare you? Just follow the science. Everything that guy said was 100% verifiable. How dare you?
It's backed by science. Absolutely. I don't have to do this. I don't have to do it. But it's my pleasure. I don't have to do it. But it's my pleasure. I'm sure
you are in a unique position where you can
exactly
do stuff like that. So,
exactly.
It's good. Hey, I'd like to I just heard the end of that representative about transgender and stuff.
Yes.
Transgender people have been with us since the beginning of time.
Sure.
And they will always be with us. It's an abnormality. It's not amoral, but it is abnormal.
Indeed.
But what is amoral is self-righteous people taking advantage of confused children and shoving their philosophy down on these kids and chemically and physically changing their bodies. That's what's amoral.
Yeah.
For sure.
Thank you, Tom. I'm sorry. You're cutting off a lot. You might be in a bad place. But thank you, Tom. I appreciate you, buddy. Let's go to Fulton, who's in Waterbury. How are you, sir?
All right, so we're all lost its mind. 3 years old. You're in a diaper still, right?
Somebody sent me a text message. I think Craig did. Craig said, we're talking about the same kid that still has to be in a child seat in the car, right?
A diaper? Like, what? You're going to cut your wang off? Like maybe the Peabody Museum at Yale, they could, kids that want to become dinosaurs, they can get involved, too. That would be a good idea, I think.
What do you do with a 3? Are they talking about putting puberty blockers on the...
My wife has a divorced friend.
I'm sorry?
It's always greener on the other side. Oh, your husband's sister. They always want you to come to the other side, right?
Right.
And that's what they're doing to these kids. They're like, oh, it's better. It was amazing that I changed. I looked on this website. They're a complete whack pack. I don't know if you've seen this leadership. Holy moly.
Yeah. Yeah. It's, again, this is, this insanity that is coming from these folks on a regular basis it's got to be addressed. It's got to be pushed back upon. There are so many people who are afraid of their own shadow in dealing with these people because they've become accustomed to being fearful of activists because of the power that they have. And that's why, again, this is my whole reason for pushing back on it and taunting these people. Negro nonsense notwithstanding. That's what all of this is about. It's people telling us what we can't talk about, push back up on.
Victim nonsense.
Yeah, exactly.
It's victim nonsense.
But
you can put a victim in any of that stuff.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Everybody's a victim.
But that's the whole deal, is that all they keep telling us is that we're not allowed to push back on this. We're not allowed to question it. And that's why I say, you're never going to bully me. No one's going to bully me into not talking about it and pushing back on it when it's morally wrong. This stuff is wrong. This stuff is this doesn't help anybody. This destroys lives and livelihoods. And I can't stand for it. I hate a bully, and I'm going to push back on him. Call me all the names in the book. I don't care. Come after me. I don't care.
I would love it if the lady who the representative could out the other reps that are like blocking her from these things. Like what school?
That's a good point.
If it was Bristol, I'm in Bristol. I would love to know it so I can let the board of ed know that I'm not okay with changing the rules for kids.
I couldn't agree more. And that's true. As you can hear.
She just kind of said these school districts, these people, this, that. Who is it? What representative? I'd like to ask them.
Representative. It's interesting because.
I tried to call Aaron Miller. Sounded like a woman. I don't know. It sounded bizarre on the phone on his voicemail, but,
Yeah, exactly.
The Reverend there.
Thank you, Fulton. Representative Anne Dauphinais said, look, they send out a press release all the time to the news media, which they're ignored. They don't have any friends. They don't have any conversations with any of these folks. And I talked to somebody prominent in the news media just recently. And, they have they claim that the problem is that Republicans don't really have a presence politically in Connecticut. But the other part is that the newsrooms have no interest in covering Republicans unless it shows them as the opposition party. That's when it's talked about. It's important for them to show Republicans up in arms about something that it should be normalized or shouldn't have any issues with. They almost have to be made to or forced to cover those things. So that is an obstacle that needs to be pushed. But, like I said, give it some time. That'll change. Let's go to Mike in Plainville. Hello, Mike.
All the more reason to believe that state government is useless.
I tend to agree.
Socialism started in the state years ago, and now it's worse. We're the superintendents in all this. Okay, you had a legislator on. I liked her, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
How did this seep into our education system the way it has?
I think that there's a lot of hand-to-hand going on in all of these people from Yale, as we now know, that this pastor, this reverend, was associated with the Yale gender, group that's there. The question that Elvira brings up is, whether or not this guy is recruiting kids into the Yale program because he's getting a kickback. It's worth asking, right? Because
this is equivalent to kidnapping and mutilation.
Yes,
with the kids.
Yeah.
I can't believe we've gotten to this point where it's right there. We're on the air talking about it, okay? And people know about it, but nothing's being done about it. You got a governor that's useless, okay? You might as well get him a carriage full of diapers because every time he's never made a decision in his life since he's been in office, okay? He gets excited. He probably has to run to the potty every time he's got to make a decision.
Yeah.
Not that he ever made one. They make me sick.
Yeah, I know. I hear you, Mike. Thank you, buddy. Next up, let's go to, you know what? I'm going to go with, let's take Mr. Matty in Bristol. Hello, sir.
Hello, Mr. Hopkins.
What's
How
up?
You doing?
Chilling, man. What's up?
Hey, I got to apologize. When I met you, I didn't know this was my fault. When I met you at the restaurant, and I recommended the chicken tenders, if I'd known, I would have recommended the salad, but I didn't know that was my fault. But from now on, I'll recommend the salad.
I'm assuming because of the high blood pressure or because chicken is associated with... Oh, well, I appreciate that. But remember...
No, high blood pressure, yes.
Yeah,
overweight
but remember,
and the high blood pressure.
No, according to Jamal Bowman, you have to call me the N-word for me to suffer from diabetes.
No, but just the fact that other people call you that, and then I recommended something.
Oh,
like
okay. So you're you're associative.
My fault. Yeah. Yes.
Oh, okay.
It's my fault.
Well,
Anyway.
that's okay. I had the bison burger anyway. So, and my
That's
wife
what I had to.
Yes. So my wife claims that's much healthier than beef. So I had the bison burger. So I was okay. Now, this is this one thing where, people get angry. Can I share this with you? Let me. Just for the sake of the audience who cannot see my chat room, okay? Now, as I told you, I'm getting all types of "you're a sellout," "you're catering to whitey," blah 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 blah. But yet they show up at around 4:00 because they are excited for Negro nonsense, right? They're going, what's it about now? Like, they wouldn't show up. Like, why show up if I'm this sellout, who doesn't cater to black folks and their needs? Why would you be here? Why? Because it's appointment radio for you. And I get it. So after I get all of the "you're an Uncle Tom" and "you're a sellout," right? Then I play the actual nonsense. And this was the text that I got in the chat room immediately after it was played. Now one guy speaks for the entire so-called race. And I went, no one ever said that. I never said that he speaks for the whole race. What I said was that this Negro said some nonsense. That's all I said. And now all of a sudden, instead of saying that it was nonsense, they wish to go, well, he doesn't speak for all of us, which all but does one thing for me, codify that it was nonsense. Okay? Yep. And I know that that's when you heard it, so-called activists in the chat room, when you heard it, you were ashamed. You felt a degree of, damn, why would he say something that stupid? Well, folks, that's what I'm here for. Okay?
But the simple fact was he was trying to speak for all black people.
Exactly.
Or he can't make a statement like that unless he's trying to speak for black people.
Exactly.
But I keep telling you, Reese, if you want to even it out, do Caucasian Crazy Wednesday. Like, if just even it out.
No, hold on. Now, that's the thing I don't understand. See, the part that I understand, and this is the part that I don't understand about these lunatics, right? So I'm considered the president of the Chris Murphy fan club. Today I said, and I remember exactly, I said that Ned Lamont should have a license plate that says Oakley Dokley. I talk everything that I talk about on the show is.
Why would you say that?
Is ripping to shreds liberals and nothing but whites all over the place on the show. And then I do one segment called Negro Nonsense, and I'm the sellout. What am I supposed to do?
No, you just have to have a little song. That's all.
Yeah, I know. I should. Absolutely. Anyway, thank you, buddy. Let's get another check of the weather and traffic. And, of course, top of the hour news with John Silver. Jason Caterina's got weather, and Mark Christopher's in the BPS Traffic Center. Hey, Mark.
Oakley Dokley.
Yes, Oakley Dokley. I said that Lamont should have a license plate that reads Oakley Dokley. He reminds me of Ned Flanders.
Ned Flanders?
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, my God. That's the first thing I thought of. I was like, that's Ned Flanders. Oh, my goodness, Reese.
Hey. Hour that packs a punch. It's Reese on the radio on WTIC News Talk 1080.
I got to play this again from Negro Nonsense only for this purpose because Jason D in the chat room said something that I hadn't considered. I already thought it was crazy, but let me play it again. Jamal Bowman, former congressman out of New York, on CNN last night.
Can't be calm about this. I'm a black man in America. The reason why heart disease.
I'm white. I can't comment.
Listen to what I'm saying. The reason why heart disease and cancer and obesity and diabetes are bigger in the black community is because of the stress we carry from having to deal with being called the N-word directly or indirectly every day.
Okay, so I want to consider Jamal Bowman's stance on this. He's 100% right? Let's just say he's 100% right. And Jason D says, Reese, is being called the N-word just by white people or all people? Just wondering. He's saying that they get called, black people being called the N-word directly or indirectly every day of their life gives them cancer, diabetes, and everything else. Okay. So I think it's safe to say, Jamal, that rap gave you cancer. I mean, who says it more than anybody? I can honestly say I got cancer from hip-hop. I got diabetes from Jay-Z. P. Diddy gave me high blood pressure. They say the N-word every day in every song. It's all over the radio. I mean, I'm just a thought. Let's get another check of weather and traffic with Jason Caterina and Mark Christopher in the BPS Traffic Center. I think Jamal Bowman's on to something. There you go. Hey, this song cures cancer.
I was going to say, I listened to this song many times.
It'll give you diabetes because it's super sweet.
That's what I got it from then. I have type 2 diabetes, Reese, so now at least I know where I got it from.
There you go.
On the radio is getting ready to drop some knowledge on WTIC News Talk 1080.
Drop it.
Yes, and we are back, and of course we just got some news that just came over the wire, and I want to thank those of you who always get this information to me within a moment's notice. So here it is. Now, you may have heard that we have an attorney general by the name of William Tong who's running around suing Donald Trump like anywhere he can go, like all over the country. Well, the Supreme Court is going to be dropping some big decisions tomorrow. And I think that's going to happen roughly about 10 o'clock because they're closing their session. There were a couple of cases that were ruled on today. You may have heard John Silva talking about one of those cases related to a South Carolina abortion, a Planned Parenthood case. But they're expecting this. So I just got this. Media advisory Thursday, June 26, 2025. Attorney General William Tong to hold media availability on Supreme Court decisions. The Attorney General will hold a media availability at 12:30 p.m. on Friday at the Office of the Attorney General regarding expected Supreme Court decisions. Those Supreme Court decisions are expected to issue its remaining decisions on this term, which will be on everything from birthright citizens, access to health care, voting rights, and LGBTQ plus inclusive books. So William Tong will be there to talk about those things or react to them. In essence, bringing the cameras onto himself so he can express outrage or jubilation, depending on where the Supreme Court goes. Now, if the Supreme Court goes against certain things that he is hoping they would not, he'll, of course, scream outrage and probably tell people to violate the law, do not pay attention to the Supreme Court, or we'll fight it, all that good blah, blah, where normally he would say, when it does go in his favor, it's the law of the land. So he'll do a lot of that stuff, and maybe he'll jump up and down and scream. It's a short guy thing with the getting in front of the microphone and jumping up and down. I don't know what that's about. Maybe it's the kid in him. He's got like an Asian Peter Dinklage. I don't know what's going on with the guy, but whatever. Just calm down, little guy. Calm down. What are you like, 4'11"? Chill out. So we'll see that. I would say if you are an independent journalist, you should go down there, perhaps ask him some questions. Do not leave it to the mainstream media. Do not leave it to the local media. They're not going to hold this guy to account. I think you should be ready with some questions, whether this goes either way, and some tough questions for William Tong. He's the one releasing it. Independent journalist, this is your moment. Get out there and ask some questions and make sure you get it recorded so that you can bring it here. Let me know. Just send it to me. Go to reeseontheradio.com where you can contact me, and I'll play it on the air. In fact, I'll probably even interview you if you go down there and express or ask some questions that need to be asked. Now, let's get to the phones. 860-522-WTIC. Let's go to Lisa in Cheshire. Hello, Lisa.
How are you?
Great.
I was listening to what you said before about, like, say, Negro Wednesday or Thursday, and then
it's Negro Nonsense Thursday.
White. Yeah, I like that. And Caucasian Wednesday. If you ever did Caucasian Wednesday, there would be so much trouble. Hands up. I swear people would be screaming.
Well, wait a minute. See, this is what I was saying to someone online. I said, look, if we're going to make this about race, as many of these blacktivists do, I'm a black man on a news show, on a talk show on WTIC, one of the oldest networks in the state. And I'm ripping every white liberal in a blue state daily, Monday through Friday.
Yeah.
From Chris Murphy to whomever it is, okay, who's in a white liberal in a blue state where, in essence, they have the media and the apparatus in and of itself defending itself and protecting itself, where they can go after me on a daily basis as a black man, which I know they're afraid to death to do.
Right.
But I do that every day. And then I've got these people where I do one skit one day for 10 minutes, and it's all outrage. He should do White People Wednesday.
I missed that. See, I came in the end.
Yeah, but like, what am I going to do White People Wednesday? I do white people every day. I mean, they pretty much cornered the market on the news cycle, especially in the state of Connecticut, when it comes to some of the outrageous things that they do. Chris Murphy is always in my crosshairs, as is Ned Lamont. So please, with this nonsense about, am I not going up against enough white folks for you? Who else do you need me to go after? That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, right. But I got a quick question.
Sure.
How come they have Black Miss America? There's no white Miss America. And why do they have the Black College Fund? There's no white college fund. If they ever said a white college fund, my goodness.
That's another thing. Good, yeah. Lisa, great point. The United
We
Negro...
have black people.
Exactly. Yeah. The United Negro College Fund. Now, the reason why they're upset is because I use the word Negro, but they ignored that there's an actual campaign to get donations under the name United Negro College Fund. Never once have they, and with the all changing, we have to change names of schools. We have to change, get rid of statues. We have to change dollars. Yes. Right? We have to get rid of Andrew Jackson on the $20 bill and replace it with Harriet Tubman. Yet the NAACP is still the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People. And no outrage.
Exactly.
Not one.
Exactly. Not one.
Exactly.
That's what I don't understand. I really don't. They get everything.
It's hypocrisy, and I refuse to look. These guys, they're mean girls, and they're a bunch of bullies. And I love a bully. I love them. I want to make them my boyfriend.
They used to beat me up when I was in school.
Exactly. They used to beat me up, and now I don't let them beat me up anymore. That's how I do it every day.
Right.
Thank you, Lisa. I appreciate the call.
Can I say one more thing? I do have black friends. I am not prejudiced, but that just stuff kind of bothers me, how it goes one way, not the other, is all.
Listen to me. This is a safe space. Nothing goes. Listen, I believe that there are norms that we've allowed to sort of accept in our lives that are absolutely outrageous, and this show is here to destroy those norms. These new norms that people are making us live under, I am here to turn that apple cart over, and I do it with such reverence. I do it with absolute glee. So that's all. I'm having fun doing it. Thank you, Lisa. Much appreciated.
Very good. Very good show. Thank you.
You got it. I appreciate you. I'm afraid to say white nonsense. Just said it. White nonsense. Ned Lamont, white nonsense every day. In fact, look, let me help you out with more white nonsense. You guys need your white nonsense fill. Here's white nonsense. Here's Chris Murphy giving you a little bit of Caucasian white nonsense for you, okay?
Listen, to me, it still appears that we have only set back the Iranian nuclear program by a handful of months. There's no doubt there was damage done to the program. But the allegations that we have obliterated their program just don't seem to stand up to reason. I just do not think the president was telling the truth when he said this program was obliterated. There was certainly damage done to the program, but there is there's still significant remaining capability. I walk away from that briefing still under the belief that we have not obliterated the program. The president was deliberately misleading the public.
All right, now let me explain to you why this is a white folk nonsense, okay? Caucasian nonsense, huh? There's a reason why it's nonsense. Chris Murphy never believed that Iran should have ever been stopped in their nuclear program. He was for giving it billions of dollars under the Biden and Obama administration. He believed that the agreement that America had with Iran and its nuclear program, he believed that they were adhering to those rules. No, they're not enriching uranium for a weapon. Now all of a sudden he goes, I don't know, it's kind of hard to believe. Yes, okay. Now you have your Caucasian nonsense. Feel better? Evan, what's going on, Evan? You're on Reese on the radio.
Hey, so on the Supreme Court cases you were mentioning, so I'm not for book banning at all.
Okay.
But for the people who are, like the people who want books banned, why don't they want the Bible banned?
That's a good point. And I think in this case, I believe that all of this is about, how do I put it, phraseology or phrasing, if you will, right? So I noticed you use the term book banning. And is it a book ban if you can purchase the book for your child anywhere you want to?
Well, if it's banned from like libraries, it's banned from libraries.
Well,
But,
no. Remember, libraries, now, if we're saying it as a general, right? Now, we wouldn't put, because remember, we could put any book in any library, right? So would you put a book by Jackie Collins in a grade school library? If you're
Not necessarily.
Okay, but are you familiar with Jackie Collins' work? I am. Are you familiar?
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
So she tells very sordid tales that involve sex and intrigue and, a lot of violence and things like that, right? So those are adult romance novels that are very depictive in the books, right?
Yeah.
And you would probably have a problem with Jackie Collins' books being in a grade school library, correct?
Well, and that's exactly my point about the Bible. These people should be saying, well, there's rape, incest, slavery, and mass murder. Why is that in the children's section?
Well, yes. And in fact, the argument is made that there's a separation of church and state, even though there isn't. But
I don't even care about that. I just talk about it from the perspective of what is in the Bible. It shouldn't be in the children's section.
Look, you and I are in agreement when I say that if the book is too adult, and the Bible, I would have no problem with saying we can't have that book in there because of what's in it. And if a child gets a hold of it, that is something that they're not capable of understanding without adult supervision. You and I are in agreement there.
Reese, I appreciate that. We don't usually agree. It's not going to make for great radio, but I'll call back next time on something we disagree on.
Not a problem, Evan. Always a pleasure, sir. But yeah, he's 100% right. The material should not be appropriate. If the material isn't appropriate for a child, no matter what it is, the Quran can't be in there. The Bible, religious books in the sense of, like, if it's a book about Christ that is meant for children, of course. The Bible may be a bridge too far. Completely understand. Right? So, again, but I hate the word banning. It's sort of like when Bernie Sanders goes, we don't have health care for free for everybody in this country. That's nonsense. Because if Roland were to stab me and I go down to the hospital, they will stop the bleeding. They will not just give me a Band-Aid or refuse me care because I don't have health insurance. They will patch me up. Okay? If I had a bullet wound and I walked in, when they haul me in on a gurney out of the ambulance and bring me in for surgery, not one doctor says, hey, they got U.S. health care or what? No, they treat me. Do they hand me a bill afterwards? Of course they do. They hand me a bill and they say, hey, can you pay this? Now, mind you, I may go bankrupt because it's so expensive to get that care, but nonetheless, health care is always provided. First, do no harm. Everyone gets seen, no matter what, whether you can pay or you can't. You get billed. If you can pay it, you pay it. If you don't, you go bankrupt paying for it. But health care is taken care of. It's not free, but it is given. Yes? Yes. What Bernie Sanders is arguing is health insurance. But when people call it health care, they get emotional. Health care? I'm not going to be seen? They won't see me? Nonsense. So it's always in the phrasing. I say this to everybody, and I know there's some people here and it's like, yeah, I never thought of that. Yes, because the objective is to pull at your heartstrings. We need to make healthcare free. Well, if you don't pay, technically it is. Somebody pays, just not you. The hospital has to be paid somehow. And they'll pass that saving on to somebody who can. You're still going to get seen. You may not get some of the care that you need. You may not get aftercare like you need. Why? Because you can't pay for that because you don't have insurance. But if you go in there and you see a doctor, that's right. Thank you, Bushwhacker. If you get seen and you are going to the emergency room like millions of illegals do, ladies and gentlemen, millions of illegals do and get health care? How do you think illegals are getting their children born? They don't have insurance, but they're sure enough having their babies delivered at the hospital, and they have no means to pay for it. Huh? So there is health care, just not health insurance. Thank you. This is a great point, Bushwhacker. Choice of words matter. That's how that works. I'm not going to use that, Rama. That's not even a good one. It's a good one, but it's not for this show. He gave me a term. He gave me a show that I could, a bit that I could call. I'm not even going to say it. I can't even say it. I don't even know if it's approved to say it. We'll get your phone calls when we return. We got to talk about this California vice mayor who's calling on the gangs. Whoa. And plus your phone calls. Let's get another check of weather and traffic.
The Odyssey app lets you jump back to the moments you missed from WTIC News Talk 1080. Download the free Odyssey app, search WTIC News Talk 1080, and tap earlier today to get started.
I still don't know what had happened was.
We brought it back.
What had happened was.
Oh, baby.
What had happened was.
Be careful. This rap music will give you cancer. It's what had happened was brought to you by the Odyssey app. Don't be mad at me. I didn't say the ridiculous thing. And Matt in Bristol brilliantly pointing out, you can get mad that he doesn't speak for all black people, yet spoke for all black people and why they have those ailments. What had happened was, please, folks, if you get a chance, go to Project Veritas' YouTube page. They are supporters of this program to watch the story of Elvira, Syed, and Eileen Syed, her daughter, who took her own life last year in October. There's no reports on exactly how she took her life, but we are going to be working to speak with Elvira to get her on the program. We're also going to be finding out what's going on with the Metropolitan Community Church of Hartford, why they are pretty much gone dark, and the individuals were pretty much been doing what can only be described as illegal in going behind parents' backs to get these children gender-affirming care. It is despicable and awful, and something needs to be done, and attention needs to be brought to it. And as much as I rail against the news media, we don't need the news media to put an end to this. We don't need them. They don't want to help us. Forget about them. With that, we also had Representative Anne Dauphinais on the program. Go to the Odyssey app so you can listen to that interview. We will have Representative Dauphinais back as we get more and more information about what's going on with this and her legislation and get some votes on it or get these people to pay attention to it who need to. And, that's about it. So go to WTIC.com, download the Odyssey app so you never miss an episode of Reese on the Radio and what we're trying to do here. And, of course, it's as much as we talk about the serious stuff, we try to have a little bit of fun. And you can always go there if you missed the show or if you missed portions of it. Okay? With that, when we come back, we'll take more of your phone calls. We've got the Cudahy, I think that's how you pronounce it, Cudahy, Vice Mayor Cynthia Gonzalez. You may have seen stories about it if you've been on any of the news networks, especially Fox. They're talking about it all day. And what Cynthia Gonzalez said to the gangbangers in California with regards to ICE. And I have a companion story that NBC News seems to be suggesting that the Trump administration isn't doing the things that people have been protesting about. We'll talk about all of that, of course, with your phone calls. If you want to get in, please do. Number's 860-522-WTIC, 860-522-9842. Let's get another check of weather and traffic as we do on the 8s with Jason Catarina and Mark. Christopher in the BPS Traffic Center. Hey, Mark. What's up, everybody?
You know who it is. You know who it is.
You know who it is. It's Reese on the radio. Frederick Douglass of the 21st century.
It's WTIC News Talk 1080.
Hey, man, we are back, and it's been an eventful week. Can't believe it's Thursday. This actually went a little slower than usual. Usually it goes by very fast. Roland likes that. He's very excited about that. Who we got in tomorrow? We got Justin coming in because you've got a great big weekend coming up. All right, so Justin is in. I can't have too much fun with him. He is very straight-laced. Like, he doesn't paint out or color outside the lines, that guy. So I tried to get him, like, to come out of his little space. He just won't. He's very straight-laced. I don't know what that's about. But you got a big weekend coming up. You care to tell us a little bit about it?
Sure. Hold on.
Okay. I guess he's got it. Do you have to get some information on it so that you can read from it or something like that? Or were you in the middle of something else? He's probably finishing up some stuff. Yeah, you know what? We'll let him get that stuff ready. Let me play this bit, if I could. This is from the vice mayor. That's her name. From Cudahy, California. She's the vice mayor, Cynthia Gonzalez. And she is rallying against ICE agents that are in her community, grabbing her people. And so she talked to two gangs, 18th Street and Florencia, I think they're called, talking to those gangs. Tell them, yo, where you been?
Not for nothing, but I want to know where all the cholos are at in Los Angeles. 18th Street, Florencia. Where's the leadership at? Because you guys are all about territory, and this is 18th Street, and this is Florencia. You guys tag everything up, claiming hood. And now that your hood's being invaded by the biggest gang there is, there ain't a peep out of you. It's everyone else who's not about the gang life that's out there protesting and speaking up. We're out there, like, fighting our turf, protecting our turf, protecting our people. And, like, where you at? Dude, they're running amok all up on your streets. On your streets and in your city. And peep, when the big gang guns come in, nothing but like quiet, and we're out here, the regular ones that have never been jumped in.
You heard her say it, when the big gang guns come in, right? So why would she be speaking to the gangs and then talking about when the big gang guns come in? She's talking about the ICE, when they come in with the guns.
Out here calling things out, trying to organize people, trying to do the thing. So don't be trying to claim no block, no nothing. If you're not showing up right now, trying to like help out and organize, I don't want to hear a peep out of you once they're gone, trying to claim that this is my block. This was not your block. You weren't even here helping out. So whoever's the leadership over there, just get your members in order.
Yeah, get your members in order. I've never, ever known an elected official to actually ask for the gangs to help out against the government. I would imagine that the cholos don't want to get involved because that would only, like, can you imagine a gang being associated with government in that way, an elected official? I thought about this today from Johnny Dangerously. Anybody remember Johnny Vermin, I should say? Johnny Vermin, played by Joe Piscopo.
Yeah, this gang's getting soft. We become the laughing stock of the underworld. Yeah. At parties, people ask me what I do. I'm embarrassed to tell them. I say I'm a barber. Hey, I told somebody the other night I was a male nurse. I'm ashamed to admit that I'm a criminal.
Nobody would want to be a part of it. So it's like, hey, you the guys that you got a government contract? You guys gone soft. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. Before we get to the phone calls, Roland, you there?
I am here.
Oh, okay. So you care to tell someone that just briefly what you got going on over the weekend?
Oh, just a big bowling tournament. That's all. Nothing crazy in New York City. We're gonna be in Buffalo, up in the Buffalo area.
Oh man, are you driving all the way to Buffalo?
Yeah.
Okay, no doubt. All right, so you're leaving what, tonight or tomorrow?
In the morning.
Okay,
early in the
morning.
Yeah, then we bowl at 3:00 tomorrow.
So roughly about a 6 to 8 hour drive, I presume.
I think it's 6.
6 hours, okay,
yeah.
Because it's 8 from New York. Okay, so about a 6 hour drive. You're going straight there. You staying in the city of Buffalo?
Right out on the outskirts.
Right on the outskirts. Do you know the town? Cheektowaga? Lackawanna?
It's something. Yeah, it was something with a GUA on the end.
Okay, so yeah, it might be Cheektowaga or Lackawanna. I know it's not. Not Auburn. There's another town out there that somebody made. I know it's got to be Lackawanna or it's got to be Cheektowaga. But nonetheless, beautiful town. You're going to love it. The tournament is actually in the city of Buffalo?
No. We're in Rochester.
Oh, okay. Wow.
And we're in Canada. I can't remember. It's two different tournaments we're participating in, I should say.
Okay. So there are two different tournaments that you're going to, right? For the whole weekend.
Correct.
And so do you have to qualify on one to get to the other?
No, they're two separate. They just happen to be going at the same time, yeah.
Okay. Now, would it be a jinx if we talk about what's at stake here?
$30,000 first place.
Okay. I just didn't know if you wanted to give it. That's a hefty thing. And you've got a pretty good shot at this.
Yeah, I mean, I usually place. I've never placed first place, obviously.
Yeah.
Because you got thousands of bowlers coming all over the place. So
now you could, right? So 30,000 is the top prize. And just like any other tournament, just like golf, there are lower tiers where you can win like what, 15,
correct.
20? Okay.
Last year I didn't win. I didn't do that well. So, but the year before that I won about 5,000, I think.
Okay, so $5,000, and the top. What was the top prize in that tournament?
It was the same thing. It's the same. This is an annual tournament.
Oh, okay. All right. So 30,000.
Last year in this tournament, I didn't do good.
Okay.
The year before, I won 5,000.
Okay. And what place did you get at 5,000? Can you tell?
I was in fifth.
Okay,
Yeah.
so fifth can still get you 5. That's great.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty good. So I'm assuming you're hoping to do better than fifth this time
trying
around.
To beat that.
Trying to beat that. What was your score when you placed fifth?
I shot 781.
Ooh.
So I went 260, 260, 250, something like that.
260, 260, 250.
Yeah.
I think the best I've ever done is a 184.
Oh.
Stop laughing at me. That's what normal people do. Wait, and I did that with the house ball. I did that with the thing, I could barely fit in the fingers. Okay, that's nothing.
Wow.
Oh, she says, wow. You're such a snob. You're a bowl snob. Stop giggling. I'm done with you. All right. Well, good luck to you.
Thank you, sir. You guys have a great Friday.
Thank you. We will do our best.
Row to row.
Right, Roseanne is in the building. Say hi real quick, Roseanne.
Hi, Roseanne.
All right.
I love it.
Let me get to the phones. 860-522-WTIC. Jeff is in Marlboro. How are you, sir? Did he wait that long? Sorry, Jeff. Hey, my buddy, Paisan. What's going on, Frank?
A couple of things. Number one, the reason why the estate attorney's having a news conference tomorrow, I call him the Weasel, because he's mad. Planned Parenthood lost today in the Supreme Court.
Yeah.
South Carolina beat Planned Parenthood, so he's upset about that. And
yeah, he'll make a big do.
Right, and the second thing, that woman called up and said, she said she's not black, so she's white. Why do we have a Miss Black America contest? Are you kidding me? She's God's greatest creation, ma'am. She's the queen. She's black and beautiful.
I knew you would make a big.
Have her own.
I knew you'd make a big fuss about that, about Miss Black America.
On at the same time tonight, I'm not watching the white one, ma'am. I'm watching the queen. Come on, what are you kidding me? That's what happens when you live in all white towns.
Yeah,
you're white.
You need some variety. Of course you do.
Oh, you got it. I saw the queen when I grew up.
Who was your favorite? There. Who was it? Who's the woman?
I would say probably the most beautiful one of the most beautiful black women. Well, it has to be Pam Grier. It's got to be up there.
Okay, you know what? I know a lot of.
Up on your show, she wanted to know why they have a Miss Black America contest.
I know. But what she's saying is that every woman should be deemed beautiful no matter what their race.
No.
But now I want to get to hold on. I want to get back to Pam Grier real quick before I go to Dave. So this Pam Grier thing, I get the guys good. They love Pam Grier. But I got to throw a name out there because I think this woman was far more beautiful. Didn't get the same notoriety, but she was far more beautiful as far as black women are concerned. Have you ever heard of Jane Kennedy?
Yes. No, there's no doubt.
Okay.
I would go out with either one of them tomorrow if I was young.
But, I still think that Jane Kennedy, by far, the most underrated, most gorgeous black woman to ever hit the silver screen. That woman was absolutely, and she had a body like Marilyn Monroe, but clearly more fit. She's most.
No, there's no doubt. I've lived in 2 different countries, Italy and America. I've been to 8 other countries. I've been all around the world. There is nothing like a beautiful black woman.
Yes, I know.
Forget about
I know. Yes, thank
She's
you, Frank.
the queen. You can't touch her. She's nature's beauty, is the black woman.
He says that
There's
about
no
black
doubt about
women.
it.
He says that about black women the way same thing I say about porcelain princesses. That's what.
That's right.
You got it, buddy. That's what. Because I've made that argument about white women being the salt of the earth, and trust me when I tell you that black women lose their mind when I say that. I say it to get them annoyed. I wish people would get that. It's like when you wear your heart on your sleeve and you say something like that, it sort of annoys them. I remember we were at Caroline's on Broadway back in early 2000s, and we were doing this gong show, whatever it was, and it was the first time I was ever being introduced physically to the audience, and they were just like, hey, everybody, it's Reese. And I got up on the microphone, and everything was quiet, and I just looked at everyone, and I said, I just want to give a shout-out to all of the black, brown, and blonde-haired white women in the audience today and let you know that I love you. To which I got a chorus of boos from the audience that was there. So, yeah, I'm known to be a rabble-rouser, as it were. Let's get Dave in Ellington as our last but not least. How are you, Dave?
Hey, brother, how are you?
Good. What's going on?
So this whole thing is, to me, not ridiculous, but it's the real deal. Why can you say the N-word when you're talking to someone, but if I say it as a white man, you're basically going to get shot?
Yeah, it's the most offensive word that you can use, if not in a rap record. And again, look, I agree with you. I don't believe that language should be limited. I remember having this conversation maybe just last year. I said,
but wait a minute, Reese.
Yes.
Isn't part of the Second Amendment to have the right to free speech?
No, sir. That's First Amendment. But
oh, I'm sorry.
First Amendment.
Sorry,
but no. Again, listen. I believe language is a tightrope. Again, over the Grand Canyon. I believe that. It's no one is saying that you can't walk the tightrope. You just have to understand that when you do it, you have to know what's on.
You have to understand the consequences.
Exactly.
You have to understand the consequences.
Exactly. You couldn't get better a definition of it than that.
Get it. Okay, so I'm going to walk into a bunch of black people, African Americans, American Negroes, whatever you want to call them.
Yes.
All right. And I'm going to say the word, and it's going to be like, I'm basically dead.
Yes, but again, like I said, that. Okay, so somebody put in the room a derogatory term for whites. Okay, and let's just say I'll use the word saltine. Right now,
Funky.
I look at that word. No, I don't. Hunky. That's different. This particular word I think is offensive. I believe it's the white version of the N-word. I won't use it. Why? Because, again, I understand. In my view, I figured if somebody uses it, if I use it, there's no other.
I would never walk up to a black man and call him the N-word.
Look,
never.
Again, and you know
Never
what? I don't think it has, but wait a minute. I don't think for you it has anything other than to do for the simple fact that you even find that word offensive. It's not about fear of using the word, it's that you understand its offensiveness.
To me, the word's offensive. To me, the word's offensive because there's certain white people out there that'll use it like they do in rap songs.
Exactly. Indeed. Very good point.
The whole thing you got to realize is this. You have the right to say what you want.
I agree. Indeed.
You disagree.
Exactly.
Disagree.
Yeah. There you go.
You don't have to act violently and say, okay, we need 1,000 police in the middle of the street to block the riot and stop everything. And they're all screaming the N-word.
You got it. Thank you, sir. I got to get out of here. What was I going to say? I know it was something I need to get into tomorrow. Nonetheless, Roseanne's here, and she's going to be with us tomorrow, of course, for Ladies' Night. So make sure you join us here for that. I talked about you a little bit before we get out of here about your little foray in dealing with the people who are trying to get public assistance, and you talking or dealing with them. Do you mind if I put you on camera real quick?
Sure.
Okay.
I just messed up my hair.
Lovely today. So you were dealing with that real quick. So I want to talk a little bit about that tomorrow, about your experience.
I'm ashamed of myself. I really am ashamed of myself. I'm very judgmental. I was in my judgy mode all day. I kept having to pray, God bless them, change me, because I'm the problem.
Yep, there before the grace of God go out, right?
Right. I'm the problem. I needed to be. But wow,
it was rough.
I can understand. When you look at the difference between affluent people and their children and the way that they compose themselves or conduct themselves in public, and you look at people, struggling and the lack of composure and the way that their children behave. I mean, you can disregard it as much as you want to, but the way that you behave in public, the way that your children behave in public, says a lot about your future and their future.
Indeed. We'll get to that tomorrow. We'll talk a little bit about that experience. So stand by. Roseanne is on the radio tomorrow. As I always say, radio is free, so we thank you for paying attention. Remember to keep JC in your heart and in your minds. Sean Patrick, we love you and we miss you. Remember that panic is not planning, so plan your work and work your plan. Me, I'm Reese on the radio. That's Roseanne. And he is Mark Christopher in the BPS Traffic Center. See you mañana.
All right, Reese, have a good night. If you're heading into Hartford right now, on the eastbound side of 84, delays 44 Prospect Oakwood up to 48 Capitol Avenue.
All right, boss man. Good luck to you.
56 Governor Street to 47.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much, man.
Hey, can I hold a little?
Getting down bikes at 28.
You can't hold nothing.
Hey, I got you. Roll to roll.
No, that's no to no.
All
right, man. Good luck.
All right, man. Yes, sir.
Glastonbury into Marlboro, quiet Middletown.
All right. Tomorrow you'll be back to tearing down black people. Yes, from 2 to 6 p.m. right here on WTIC.
Only some of you. Only some of you.
I said this to Bob, who's in the chat room, trying to explain, why NAACP and the United Negro College Fund use their term. Like, dude, I don't care why they use it.
How long did it take Bob to figure out how to spell anachronistic?
Oh, I don't know.
And can they pronounce it?
I don't know. But the part that people don't seem to understand is that, again, when Jamal Bowman says that the reason why black people, all of them, have cancer, diabetes, and other ailments is because they're being called the N-word over and over again. Bob writes in the chat room, well, he doesn't speak for all black people. Yeah, he did. He said the reason why black people are suffering is because they've been called the N-word. He did speak for all black people. So you immediately want to parse it off and say, oh, he doesn't talk for all black people. Well, fine. If he doesn't, then allow me to say this. Neither do I. I'm just Reese on the radio. And when I do Negro nonsense, I do it about individuals who happen to be Negro. I don't speak for all of them, no more than they do. But you seem to be very adamant about me speaking for all black people. You see? They don't speak for all blacks, but you want me to. And if I'm criticizing them, I'm criticizing all blacks. So this is the reason why no one thinks you have any credibility. Because you're hypocrites. You don't even stand for what you believe in minute to minute. You contradict yourself in seconds. So do I talk for all blacks or do I not? Do you want me to talk for all blacks or do you not? Decide. But while you're figuring it out, make sure you're here from 2 to 6, Monday through Friday, and especially on Thursdays for your favorite segment, Negro Nonsense. Don't miss it. I know you won't. It's okay. Ladies, gentlemen, and whomever, we love you. We'll see you mañana. Be good to each other.